All across Central America there are giant ruined pyramids and other megastructures from various civilizations, from Teotihuacan, the Toltecs, the Aztecs, the Mayas, and each of these giant civilizations looked out on the jungle and saw the ruins of their predecessors with often no idea of how they got there, just maybe some vague rumors and nothing recorded. It's almost as if there was some sort of power that regularly waxed and waned throughout the eras. There totally was. Welcome. This is a video response to the Gentleman Gamer's post on how to create new clans for Vampire the Masquerade. Clans that were outside of the Europe, Africa and North America standard areas. So here we're looking at 1.5 clans here around Central America. They have many names throughout the different people who have lived there and who have called them the names of gods, of monsters, of demons, of divine beings, of spirits, whatever. But they tend to go today by the names of Lords of the Moon and Servants of the Sun. We'll get to the distinction later. The Lords of the Moon are the most important ones. Most of them are very old. They've endured for hundreds or even thousands of years. They can command Dominate and Potence and their own rather special discipline that we'll get to. Their drawback is a simple one. Their power waxes. They get, as time goes on, their power increases. They don't have a clear concept of generation, but they do get up to the power of the most powerful Methuselahs if given enough time. Their commands will become more powerful. Their blood will become stronger. They themselves will become stronger and more domineering socially as well. Their influence creeps up as their confidence does. And then, at the absolute peak of their power, when they are some of the most powerful beings in existence, they will start waning. And the decline sets in. And they tumble down all the great heights that they have achieved. The cycle varies for different beings, but typically is in the few hundreds of years. And when the peak of several of them meet, they basically conspire deliberately or accidentally to create and control great civilizations at that point. They are gods. They see themselves as gods, literally, and they have, at that brief top moment, the real powers of a god, and are capable of using it. But then, as I say, the decline sets in. But they can starve off the decline. What can starve off the decline? Sacrifice. Animal, human, vampire, mostly humans, because there's a lot of those around. And that is the only thing that they can use to starve off the decline. Their third canonical discipline is that the use of sacrificial power to keep themselves at the top. They can use it to power other ones of their powers, but the main thing is to keep themselves from falling, from going down at the very bottom of the cycle. They are barely stronger than a ghoul. Some of them are weaker than ghouls. Some of them are as weak as humans. But sacrifice the blood, and the blood count grows. They need more and more to keep themselves at that height. That's why all these civilizations tended to end in a very bloody, bloodbathy way, as the their undead lords in the darkness clutched the last things that could maintain their power. One of the ultimate sacrifices, even better than human sacrifice, was the sacrifice of another vampire. And so they created children. When they created children, it's not just as other vampires do. There are certain rituals, timeless rituals that they go. They can create another Lord of the Moon if they want to, another lonely god to keep them company and serve them for a cycle or two in the darkness. But they have other rituals which allow them to create the so-called servants of the sun. These are bred for sacrifice. That is their destiny, that is their weakness. Unless killed prematurely, they will die in an ultimate sacrifice. However, the flaw in the plan is that it's not necessarily a sacrifice in the service of their sire, of their creator, of the one who created them for that purpose. Many times it will, and these lords of the moon create these servants of the sun and then diablerize or sacrifice them in hideously complicated rituals and maintain their power for another night or another month. But many a time they will rebel, they will escape, they will go out into the world on their own, and their destiny will catch them. They will end up sacrificing themselves, but it might be for another cause completely. It might be to help a village. It might be to fight against the undead monstrosities that sired them. It might be for love, it might be for hate, but it will be for the benefit of someone that they will lay down their lives. Their disciplines are Obeah, the salubri healing discipline, or a variant of that. They have no third eye, though they often have other divine deformities. Fortitude, which enables them to walk somewhat in the sun. Well, their third discipline is something to do with that. The servants of the sun can walk in sunlight, unlike other vampires. They do not enjoy it, but they draw great power from it. What happens is that as they walk in the sunlight, it burns them in agony, and it heals them, and it powers them up. So, as long as they can bear the rays of the sun, the more they heal, the stronger they become, the more it powers them for nights and nights after that. Oh, it is not easy for them. Normal kindred that walk out in the sun burn just once, but they burn again and again and again as the minutes and as the hours pass. But it can be worth it if you need a great amount of power for a great amount of sacrifice. The last time that the Lords of the Moon were very active was as the Aztec Empire, and they fell, partially because most of these lords were getting into the very end of their height. Sacrifices were no longer enough, and they were starting to tumble, and the Aztec Empire was becoming more bloody. And then the Spaniards arrived with their La Sombra and other infiltrators, but that was just kicking down a rotten structure, because the Lords of the Night that had ruled the Aztec Empire, Lords of the Moon, who ruled the Aztec Empire, were already falling, and falling fast. But now they're reawakening, and they are rebuilding in small areas, in the jungle, in the mountains, in places that often mysteriously do not find themselves into any map. Small pyramids of ancient design being built by small villages who don't know exactly why they're doing it. Languages that have not been spoken for generations are being spoken again, and rituals and values and beliefs long dead are reawakening, and some of them are really long dead, because there are some of the Lords of the Moon whose cycles are in the thousands of years, and who are reawakening now to their increase in power, such that they have never felt since 4 empires ago. And they have their ancient feuds, and all their ancient rites, and all the ancient magic that they performed and buried and left for their reawakening, and all the artifacts of power that have been dispersed, and they're found in museums and are now being stolen back. Oh yes, the Lords of the Moon are mainly on the upswing now, and are creating more servants of the sun to serve them. Some of the servants of the sun are just as old as they are, favoured servants for long, but it is a modern world now, and the Lords of the Moon cannot understand that. The servants of the sun are more willing to see it, and more willing to make choices as to who they will die for. Yes, that is the world that is starting to re-emerge. And most of the Lords of the Moons are on the upswing currently. They have not reached their peak. Their power still has a long time to grow. And the inevitable sacrifice, as it starts to decline and they avert to decline, has not yet started. But it will soon. Very soon there will be godlike beings striding around Central America, the changed world that they do not understand, trying to reimpose their framework and their understanding upon it. And very soon after, there will be disappearances and blood and cries and rites and sacrifice as these godlike beings try to maintain themselves. That is my suggestion for 1.5 new clans. Thanks for listening.